Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. We got another car video today because, I'm too lazy to go home and record it in my room. So, I just finished watching the original Halloween movie from 1978. And the only reason why I'm actually talking about it right now is because I actually got to see it in the theater, which I'd wanted to do that ever since last year when my own movie theater was showing it, but unfortunately I couldn't because I was busy working. So instead, I went down. I had to go to a different town to see it, which I was fine with. Because I ended up seeing it with a good friend of mine. In fact, if you guys remember that one chip challenge video that I did a few months back, the friend that I did the challenge with was the same one who saw the movie with me, and it turns out that was the first time she ever saw the Halloween movie. So that's awesome that she was able to come and see it. But we both liked the movie. We were kind of laughing at some scenes. Like I don't know if it was intentional or not, but to me the movie was way more humorous than I remembered it. The movie itself was great. I'm always gonna say this, but this is just my own personal preference. Like, I'm sorry, but I do not like the way that the opening scene was shot, where like you see through Michael's eyes. And after like a fresh viewing recently, I also realized something that kind of makes it like even worse for me, where like you can actually hear like a child breathing. But just the way it's shot, because it's from Michael Myers' POV as a child, and like with how the camera is angled to where like the camera is clearly like not to a full grown man's height. And how, like, again, you can hear, like, the childlike breathing of, like, a tiny kid. Like, to me, that just made the whole thing even worse, in my opinion. Or, like, well, okay, well, that's a killer, and that's a little kid. So, I don't know if anyone else will have this reaction, but, like, I feel like it just cheapens the suspense of it. And not only that, but like there are other scenes where like you see through Michael's POV later in the film. And well, again, I'm sorry, but I don't like it when it shows the POV of the killer. But with all that out of the way, man, there's really not much for me to say about this movie that hasn't already been said to death. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis was fantastic, especially since this was her breakout role. Donald Pleasance was great as Dr. Loomis. Nick Castle was pretty intimidating as the Shape. I do think that James Jude Courtney, like, still knocked it out of the park in like these newest movies, but for what they did at the time, like Nick Castle was fantastic as Michael Myers. The kids, like Tommy and Lindsay, which, by the way, again with this fresh viewing, I realized that the reason why the kids are named like Tommy Doyle and Lindsay Wallace, it has to be like some kind of Easter egg for like the producer and editor, whose name is Tommy Wallace, which which I never realized that until tonight, so that was cool. But anyway, so the kids are all right. I mean, like they seem like bratty little kids, but like, I mean, kind of makes sense. They actually sound like how kids would sound. Again, there's a little bit more humor than I remembered. Like, I mean, with Dr. Loomis going like, "Hey Lonnie, get your ass away from there." Like, about half of the people in that theater just busted out laughing, including my friend and I. I spent especially like after like Lonnie Elam and like his kid and like his friends run off. Like Dr. Loomis like has like a shit-eating grin on his face because he's just so pleased that he scared kids. Oh man. The music, as always, was great. That was awesome. I mean, being that it's like an old film from 1978, I mean, obviously there's gonna be some grain in there. My friend and I did notice that like during the same scene of like Laurie walking down the street, like there's one shot where like the streets are completely dry, but then there's another shot where like it's like soaked from rain or something that must have happened earlier in the day when they were filming. But then again, I think that's also because, like, I mean, the movie itself was filmed in California instead of like actually being in Illinois. So I don't know if those two were connected, but I don't know. It's kind of funny that like you can pinpoint some continuity errors like every time you watch one of your favorite films. But all of that is really just nitpicking. Like overall, like the movie was great. All the other supporting cast, like Lee Brackett, Annie, Linda, and Bob, like hold on. All the supporting cast, like the other victims, I mean, they were just cannon fodder, really. But I don't know. There's honestly really not much I can say about this. There is one thing that I am gonna say, like outside the film, because like to summarize my thoughts of the 1978 movie itself, like I mean, there's a reason why I kicked off the slasher genre, like really kicked it off, because like it was just a really great movie overall. However, like, so there are a couple other nitpicks that I do have with the film, like that whole bit where Dr. Loomis like starts complaining about like someone driving, giving Michael Myers driving lessons. I'm sorry, but that just doesn't do it for me. Like I'm sorry, but I'm with Rob Zombie on this one. Like Loomis said that as like a throwaway line, like, oh, well, somebody probably gave him driving lessons. Okay, who? Because as far as I know, even in like the movies that aren't part of like the new timeline, they never really explained like how he knew how to drive, because like how would he know how to drive? He's been locked up for 15 years. And I mean, sure, once you get behind the wheel, it becomes easy, kind of like sort of like riding a bike. At least it was when I eventually got the hang of it. But like driving a car is just one of those things where like, yeah, it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it, but like if you were never taught what to do, then you really don't know what the hell you're doing, right? So yeah, I'm sorry, but I agree with Rob Zombie on this where, like, where did Michael Myers learn to drive? And I'm sorry, this is probably sacrilege, but that's just one of the things that make me think, like, you know what? I mean, the Rob Zombie movies are probably what I'm gonna go back to watching instead of like all these movies with Jamie Lee Curtis in them. And the other reason for that is because, well, so I went into, when I originally saw the first Halloween film, I went into it thinking that, like, Michael was gonna just start killing people right off the bat like that. And he didn't really start killing until, like, the last third, sort of. Like, as in, like, actually start slaughtering people. And yeah, he got, like, 1 or 2 kills, like, spread out throughout the runtime. But, like, the main batch of victims didn't really happen until, like, way later, like, during either the last third or the last quarter. And, I mean, it's not the movie's fault. It's kind of my fault for, like, setting that kind of expectation, especially for a movie from the late 70s. But I'm sorry, but when I watch a Halloween film, I kind of expect Michael to just start killing. Like, I wasn't really expecting him to just, like, creep around Haddonfield for almost the entire, for over half the runtime. But again, that's my fault. It is. I'll fully admit that. But speaking of creeping around, so I actually forgot to mention this during my Halloween Ends review. So another kind of one of the things that one of the other things that I meant to mention is that like, so I talked about how Michael only gets like 3 kills, right? Well, technically speaking, he only gets 1 kill that he does himself, right? Because the first one, like, basically he and Corey Cunningham tag teamed the cop, and then the last kill he got in the movie, like, I mean, Corey was already dying. He was gonna die either way. All Michael did was just speed up the process. So technically, he got 1 kill on his own, and that's it. So, and sure, Michael didn't have like that many kills in the first Halloween film, which, actually no, that's not true. He actually had quite a few. Like, he killed Judith, that one mechanic guy off screen. He'll still kill. He killed Annie, Linda, and Paul, I believe. Well, actually, hang on a second. Okay, if I missed someone, I'm sorry, but as far as I know, he killed 5 people in the first movie. But anyway, so the other main problem I had with Halloween Ends was the fact that, like, Michael Myers is barely in the film, right? And yeah, sure, Michael had like a minimal amount of kills in the first film, even though it was more than what he got in Halloween Ends. But at the very least, in the first Halloween film, like, he was still in the movie, and like, this kind of feels like a double-edged sword. Where, like, I was originally complaining about this just a few minutes ago, but like, I mean, at least in the original film, like, Michael Myers was there. Like, you could feel the suspense of him, like, basically always watching the main characters, right? Like, he was always following out Laurie, whether it was in the car or if it was just walking down the street, or literally just standing just a few feet away from him down the road. Meanwhile, in Halloween Ends, like, he's just chilling in a sewer. Like, ugh. But yeah, so like, as much as I rag on the first movie about how, like, oh, he takes too long to start killing people. I mean, at least he's still in the movie, right? He's still stalking people, and that's just one of the other problems that I had with Halloween Ends. Although I will admit, so I am planning on watching Halloween Ends again, and I'll probably be posting like a video about like my second viewing and my thoughts on it or whatever, like on Halloween night. But I mean, as of now, like my thoughts right now, like I will admit, like after somewhat calming down after seeing that movie, like it's been about a week, I think. Like, what's the date? Yeah, it's been about a week since, a little bit over, since Halloween Ends released in theaters. After I've kind of simmered down, let my thoughts marinate a bit. And again, like I'll have to double check, watch the movie again on Peacock, just to gather like my full thoughts on it. But I am starting to wonder if like my main problem with the movie wasn't what exactly they did in it, but more like they had that be their final movie, right? Or like I feel like a lot of people, myself included, would have been fine with the direction that Halloween Ends took, like what with the whole Corey Cunningham character and like Michael Myers being like old and decrepit and all that crap. If it wasn't like their last movie, right? Like say, even if they just switched Halloween Kills with Halloween Ends, where like Ends was the second movie and Kills was the final film, like it probably would have made the trilogy go like smoother. Like maybe, of course, do a few tweaks, of course, but like basically have the same concept, right? But I don't know, the fact that they made that movie like basically their final chapter in their timeline is what really pissed people off. But I'm gonna have to put a pin in that, and once I watch Halloween Ends a second time, sometime next week, then I'll check to see if I was right or not. But I don't know, at this point I'm rambling. I should probably just end the video right here and now, especially because well, look at that, I'm still wearing my my Freddy Krueger outfit, without the hat, of course. But you know, it's funny, I didn't realize this until I saw promotions of it, but shit, hang on. I didn't realize this until I saw promotions of it on YouTube, but turns out it's National Chucky Day, and I saw the original Halloween movie tonight while wearing my Freddy Krueger costume, or at least the Freddy Krueger sweater. Obviously, I didn't understand the assignment. But either way, I don't know, that's it. I mean, I'm probably gonna watch one of the Chucky movies tonight, or not, I don't know. I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff I want to do. Like, there's, and it's like I said in a poll on my channel, like, there's this, I'm trying to do this, like, full feature-length film that basically is comprised of a bunch of my shorts, which I am going to be making a few more exclusively for the film. That way it's not going to be like just stuff that we've already seen, you know. aside from that, like, there's also this one other movie that I need to eventually sit down and watch. That a friend of mine from the haunted house that I'm scare acting in, he had a hand in making it, and I believe he also played a character role in it. So I'll have to watch it at some point. Also, oh jeez, it's been very tired. Also, I watched Rob Zombie's The Munsters. Speaking of Rob Zombie, and I'm still wondering if I should like do a review of it or not, because I mean, it feels like a generic kids film, really. I mean, it's all right. I don't think it's that bad. Like, props to Rob Zombie for trying something different. But, you know. Yeah, there's my thoughts on The Munsters, by the way. Alright, so, okay, at this point, I might as well be talking out my ass, so I'm ending the video here. You guys all have a good night, and, yeah, if you ever get a chance, definitely watch the original 1978 Halloween film. I know I ragged on it a little bit, but, like, it's still a very great film. Bye, guys.